Commander Thalia Reed stood at the viewport of the CSS Prometheus, watching the sleek Zeronian diplomatic vessel approach. The contrast between their ships couldn't have been more stark. The alien craft gleamed like polished obsidian, while the Prometheus bore the scars and welds of a dozen emergency repairs. "They're hailing us," Lieutenant Ravi Patil announced from his communication station, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Thalia straightened her weathered uniform. "Put them through." The alien that appeared on the main screen had skin like burnished copper and eyes that seemed to hold galaxies within them. Ambassador Vexnor of the Zeronian Confederation radiated an aura of barely concealed disdain. Commander Reed, the ambassador's translator, rendered their musical language into crisp English. "I must admit, when the Council agreed to this meeting, we expected more." "The Prometheus may not look impressive," Thalia replied, keeping her voice steady, "but she's the finest ship in the Earth Defense Fleet." Vexnor's crystalline laugh cut through the air. "Defense Fleet? Commander, my species was building void gates while yours was still discovering fire. This vessel of yours appears to be held together by what you humans call duct tape." Among other things, Thalia smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes. "Would you care for a tour?" The ambassador's expression shifted to one of morbid curiosity. "I suppose someone should document this historical artifact. For anthropological purposes, of course." As Vexnor's shuttle docked with the Prometheus, Thalia met her first officer's gaze. Commander Marcus Bishop's dark features were set in careful neutrality, but she could read the tension in his shoulders. "They're in for a surprise," he murmured as they walked to the airlock. "Let them underestimate us," Thalia replied. "It's worked in our favor before." The airlock cycled open to reveal Vexnor and two attendants, their environmental suits making them look like cosmic insects. The ambassador's eyes roamed the corridor, taking in the exposed conduits and worn deck plating. "Your life support systems appear rudimentary," Vexnor observed, their voice dripping with mock concern. "Are you certain this vessel is space-worthy? The Prometheus has never let us down." Thalia led them toward engineering. "Sometimes the oldest tools are the most reliable. Like that projectile weapon at your hip." Vexnor gestured to Thalia's sidearm. "How charmingly primitive." Before Thalia could respond, the ship's alert system blared to life. Red emergency lights bathed the corridor in crimson as Ravi's voice came over the comm. "Commander, 3 unidentified vessels just dropped out of FTL. They're not responding to hails." The deck plates shuddered as something struck the Prometheus's shields. Vexnor stumbled, caught off guard by the impact. "What is the meaning of this?" "Raiders." Thalia was already moving, her voice clipped. "They'd been hitting isolated ships in this sector. Ambassador, I suggest you return to your vessel. You expect to fight them in this relic." Vexnor's diplomatic veneer cracked slightly, revealing genuine concern. "Commander, be reasonable. My ship can easily." Another impact rocked the Prometheus, cutting off the ambassador's words. Thalia's hand shot out, steadying Vexnor before they could fall. The brief contact sent an unexpected current through both of them. "Your ship is beautiful, Ambassador," Thalia said, releasing them. "But beauty doesn't win battles. Marcus, get the ambassador to their shuttle. I'm heading to the bridge." "Commander Reed," Vexnor called after her, something new in their voice. "What exactly do you intend to do?" Thalia paused at the intersection, a fierce grin spreading across her face. "I intend to show you why Earth's primitive ships are feared across 3 sectors. Try to keep up." As she sprinted toward the bridge, the Prometheus's ancient engines began to wake, their deep rumble building like distant thunder. The raiders were about to learn what Vexnor would soon discover, that humanity's greatest strength lay not in the shine of their vessels, but in the steel of their resolve and the fire of their innovation. The real question was whether the ambassador would survive their preconceptions long enough to understand the lesson. The Prometheus's true nature was about to be revealed, and with it, the reason why humans had earned their place among the stars. not through beauty or advanced technology, but through sheer, unstoppable determination and the ability to turn even their limitations into advantages. And Thalia Reed was about to give one very surprised ambassador a demonstration they would never forget. The bridge of the Prometheus erupted into controlled chaos as Thalia burst through the doors. Warning indicators painted the worn consoles an angry red, but her crew moved with practiced precision. "Status report," she barked, sliding into the captain's chair. Ravi's fingers flew across his console. 3 raider vessels, Scythe class by the energy signatures. They're trying to box us in. What about the ambassador's ship? Still docked, Marcus reported, entering the bridge behind her. Ambassador Vexnor insisted on staying. There, observing. Thalia allowed herself a small smile. Then let's give them something worth watching. Engineering. Wake her up. Deep within the Prometheus, systems that had laid dormant hummed to life. The raiders, expecting easy prey, didn't notice the subtle changes in the ancient vessel's power signature. "Commander," Vexnor's voice carried a hint of strain as they entered the bridge. "My ship's weapon systems are far superior. Allow us to." "With respect, Ambassador," Thalia cut them off. "Watch and learn. Ravi, initiate Protocol Thunderstrike." The Prometheus's engines changed tone, shifting from their usual rumble to a deep, resonant pulse that seemed to vibrate through reality itself. On her armrest display, Thalia watched power readings spike in patterns that would have made conventional engineers weep. "What are you doing?" Vexnor demanded, their galaxy-filled eyes widening as the deck plates thrummed beneath them. "These power fluctuations are impossible with your level of technology." "That's humanity's secret, Ambassador," Marcus replied, his dark eyes glinting. "We don't accept impossible." The raiders opened fire, energy beams lancing through space toward the Prometheus. Instead of attempting to evade, Thalia leaned forward in her chair. "Now, Lieutenant Chen, show them what our primitive ship can do." At the helm, Lieutenant Jade Chen's hands danced across her controls. The Prometheus's hull plates shifted, redirecting the enemy fire through channels that shouldn't have existed. The absorbed energy coursed through the ship's superstructure, feeding into systems that defied conventional physics. "Impossible," Vexnor breathed, their copper skin pale with shock. "You're using the attack as a power source." "Recycled Kelvin drive technology," Thalia explained, enjoying the ambassador's growing disbelief. "Humans didn't have access to high-energy power cores like your people, so we learned to work with what we had." The raiders, realizing something was wrong, attempted to retreat. But the Prometheus was already moving, its ancient frame displaying agility that belied its weathered appearance. The absorbed energy manifested as crackling fields around the ship, distorting space itself. "They're trying to jump to FTL," Ravi reported. "Not today." Thalia's fingers found familiar commands. "Ambassador, you might want to hold on to something." The Prometheus's engineered quantum fields reached out, catching the raiders in a web of warped space-time. Their attempts at faster-than-light travel collapsed as the human vessel imposed its will on reality. "This is..." Vexnor gripped a nearby railing, their professional demeanor cracking. "Your people have weaponized spatial distortion." "Not weaponized," Thalia corrected, watching as the raiders' engines failed under the strain. "Adapted. Everything humans have achieved in space has been about adaptation." "Lieutenant Chen, bring us alongside." The Prometheus moved with predatory grace, its patchwork hull now gleaming with captured energy. The raiders, their ships dead in space, could only watch as the vessel they dismissed as prey revealed itself to be something far more dangerous. "This is Commander Reed of the CSS Prometheus," Thalia's voice carried across the void to the disabled ships. "I suggest you power down and prepare for boarding, unless you prefer to see what else this relic can do." The raiders, their overconfidence shattered along with their engines, surrendered without further resistance. As security teams moved to secure the hostile vessels, Thalia turned to find Vexnor studying her with new eyes. "You knew," the ambassador said softly. You knew we would underestimate you. It's happened before. Thalia stood, stretching muscles tense from battle. Humanity learned early that being underestimated can be an advantage. While other species focused on building prettier ships, we focused on making ours smarter. The patches on your hull. Vexnor approached the viewport, their reflection overlaying the scared surface of the Prometheus. They're not repairs at all, are they? Some are, Marcus answered, joining them. But others are modifications, improvements. Every scar on this ship tells a story of adaptation and survival. The ambassador's hand reached out, almost touching the transparent barrier between them and space. My people have called humans primitive, untested. We thought your ships were held together by desperation and luck. There's some of that too, Thalia admitted, moving to stand beside them. But mostly, Ambassador, they're held together by human ingenuity and the stubborn refusal to accept limitations. As if in response, the Prometheus's engines settled into a satisfied purr, the captured energy from the battle integrating seamlessly into its systems. Outside, the raider ships hung silent in space, a testament to the folly of judging by appearances. I believe, Vexnor said carefully, their eyes meeting Thalia's, I owe you and your crew an apology, Commander. And perhaps, a longer conversation about human innovation. I'd like that, Thalia replied, noting how the starlight played across the ambassador's copper skin. Though first, I should probably explain why our sensors are picking up another wave of raiders approaching from the outer system. Vexnor's eyes widened again, but this time with something closer to excitement than fear. You mean? Yes, Ambassador. Thalia grinned, returning to her chair as her crew prepared for another fight. You're about to see what the Prometheus can really do when we're not holding back. The second wave of raiders emerged from the darkness of space, like hungry predators, their ships sleeker and more numerous than the first group. Through the Prometheus's viewport, Thalia counted at least 7 vessels, their weapon systems already charging. They're not standard raiders, Vexnor observed, their copper skin reflecting the emergency lights. Those are military-grade weapons. Noticed that too. Thalia's fingers danced across her command console. Ravi, what are we looking at? Energy signatures match Centauri wetwork ships, Ravi reported, his usual calm voice tight with concern. Someone's hired professionals. The deck plates hummed as the Prometheus's adaptive systems processed the energy from their previous battle. Lieutenant Chen kept the ship in a defensive pattern, using the disabled raider vessels as cover while they assessed the situation. Your ship is impressive, Commander, Vexnor said, their galaxy-filled eyes fixed on the approaching threat. But those are killing machines. Perhaps if we combined our vessel's capabilities. A massive energy spike cut off their words as the lead enemy ship opened fire. The blast wasn't aimed at the Prometheus, but at the ambassador's docked vessel. The diplomatic ship's shields flared brilliantly before failing, its hull breached in multiple locations. They're targeting me, Vexnor realized, their composed demeanor cracking. This was never about raiders. It's an assassination attempt. Thalia's expression hardened. Marcus, it damage control teams to the ambassador's ship. Evacuate any survivors to our medical bay. She turned to Vexnor. Looks like you're stuck with us, Ambassador. Care to see how humans handle impossible odds? The Prometheus shuddered as it absorbed another barrage, its adaptive hull converting the energy into usable power. But Thalia could see from the readings that they were approaching dangerous levels of saturation. Commander, Jade called from the helm. We can't absorb much more. The conversion matrices are reaching critical levels. Then we don't absorb it. Thalia stood, her mind racing through possibilities. We redirect it. Ambassador, you said your people built void gates. Vexnor nodded, their eyes widening with understanding. The principle is similar to your ship's energy conversion, but on a larger scale. We use quantum resonance, though, to create stable wormholes. Thalia finished. Ravi, reconfigure the conversion matrices. We're going to turn this ship into a void gate. That's impossible, Vexnor protested, But their voice held more wonder than doubt. The power requirements alone. Impossible is just another word for hasn't been done yet. Philia grinned. Marcus, I need you in engineering. Tell Dr. Rivera to prepare for something crazy. The enemy ships pressed their advantage, not realizing that each shot they fired was feeding into Thalia's desperate plan. The Prometheus's hull began to glow with captured energy, creating patterns that resembled the surface of a star. Ambassador, Thalia's voice was soft but urgent. I need your help. Your knowledge of void gate technology combined with our conversion systems could create a localized rupture in spacetime. Vexnor finished, moving to join her at the command console. Their fingers brushed as they worked, sending an unexpected spark between them. But the calculations would need to be perfect. One mistake would tear us apart at the quantum level. Thalia nodded. Good thing I have the foremost expert on void gates right here. As they worked, the battle raged around them. The Prometheus danced through space, its movements becoming increasingly erratic as power surged through systems never designed for this level of energy. In engineering, Dr. Rivera and her team fought to keep the ship's core stable while implementing the modifications Thalia and Vexnor devised. Energy saturation at 98%. Ravi announced, his voice steady despite the chaos. Whatever we're doing, it needs to happen now. Thalia looked at Vexnor, seeing her own determination reflected in those galaxy-filled eyes. Ready? The ambassador's copper skin seemed to glow in the emergency lighting. Commander Reed, Thalia, if this doesn't work, it'll work, she assured them, her hand finding theirs. Trust in human stubbornness and alien wisdom. Jade, bring us about. Let's show these assassins what happens when they push humanity and the Exaronian Confederation too far. The Prometheus turned to face its attackers, its hull now blazing like a newborn star. The enemy ships, finally sensing that something was wrong, attempted to retreat, but they had waited too long. Now, Thalia commanded, and together, she and Vexnor activated their jury-rigged void gate system. Space itself seemed to scream as human ingenuity and alien technology combined to create something entirely new. The Prometheus became the eye of an impossible storm, channeling enough energy to birth a small sun through systems held together by determination and desperate innovation. And in that moment, as reality bent around them, Thalia caught Vexnor's expression of pure wonder and knew that whatever happened next, they had already changed the universe in ways no one could have predicted. The void gate effect rippled through space like waves on a cosmic ocean. The enemy ships, caught in its embrace, twisted in ways that defied conventional physics. But something was wrong. The energy readings on the Prometheus's monitors were climbing beyond even their most extreme calculations. The field is destabilizing. Vexnor's voice carried an edge of fear. The power output is far beyond what we predicted. Thalia watched as fractal patterns of light danced across the ship's hull. Ravi, status of the conversion matrices. Critical. Commander. The systems were never designed to handle this level of quantum flux. We're seeing cascade failures throughout the ship. The deck plates beneath them groaned as reality itself pushed against the Prometheus's hull. In engineering, alarms screamed as Dr. Rivera and her team fought to contain the growing instability. Commander, Marcus's voice crackled through the comm. Distorted by interference, the core is going into quantum resonance. Whatever that void gate did, it's affecting our adaptive systems in ways we never imagined. Thalia turned to Vexnor, seeing her own concern reflected in those otherworldly eyes. What's happening? The ambassador's copper fingers flew across the sensor displays. The combination of our technologies has created something new, a quantum bridge, but not just through space. Their voice trailed off as understanding dawned. Through what? Through possibilities. Vexnor looked up, their expression a mix of wonder and terror. We've accidentally created a gateway between parallel realities. As if to confirm their words, the space beyond the viewport began to shimmer. The enemy ships were gone, but in their place, Ghostly images appeared, alternate versions of the Prometheus, each slightly different, each existing in its own layer of reality. That's why the power readings are off the scale, Thalia realized. We're not just channeling energy from our universe. We're drawing it from all of them, Vexnor finished. And if we don't find a way to stabilize it, we'll tear a hole in the fabric of reality itself. Thalia's mind raced through possibilities. Jade, status of the helm. Lieutenant Chen's hands hadn't stopped moving across her controls. Responsive, but sluggish. The ship feels different. Different how? Like it's everywhere at once, Jade replied, her voice tight with concentration. Dr. Rivera's voice cut through the chaos. Commander, the core is showing signs of quantum entanglement with itself. Multiple versions of itself from different realities. The energy output is increasing exponentially. Thalia felt Vexner's hand find hers, the contact sending a jolt through both of them. Your people's adaptive technology, the ambassador said urgently. It's trying to synchronize with all possible versions of itself. If we can't control it, then we use it. Thalia interrupted, an impossible idea forming. We're not fighting the quantum resonance, we're fighting ourselves. She turned to her crew, her voice carrying the weight of command. This ship was built to adapt, to take whatever the universe throws at it and turn it into an advantage. So let's do what humans do best. Let's adapt. Working together, Thalia and Vexnor began redirecting power through the ship's systems in ways that violated every known law of physics. The Prometheus groaned as its adaptive technology tried to process input from countless parallel realities. We need to synchronize the quantum states, Vexnor explained as they worked. Create a stable resonance between all versions of the ship, like tuning multiple instruments to the same frequency. Thalia nodded, understanding. Ravi, begin broadcasting our core signature across all quantum bands. Let's give our other selves something to lock onto. The effect was immediate and stunning. The ghostly images of alternate Prometheuses began to align, their energy signatures harmonizing with their ship. The power readings, instead of continuing to climb, began to stabilize. It's working, Marcus reported from engineering. The core is stabilizing. But Commander, something else is happening. Through the viewport, they watched as reality itself seemed to crystallize around them. The Prometheus wasn't just existing in one space anymore. It was existing in all of them simultaneously, drawing strength from every possibility. The adaptive technology, Vexnor breathed, their eyes wide with understanding. It's not just copying the quantum states, it's learning from them. Your ship is evolving. Thalia felt it too, a change in the very fabric of the Prometheus. The deck plates hummed with new energy, and the ship's responses became sharper, more intuitive. They hadn't just survived the quantum cascade. They transformed it into something entirely new. Commander, Jade called out, her voice filled with awe. I'm detecting multiple quantum signatures approaching. They're the assassins, but not just from our reality. They're coming from all of them, Vexnor confirmed. Every version of our attackers, converging on this point in space-time. Thalia's expression hardened with determination. Then it's time to show them what a quantum-enhanced human vessel can really do. All hands, prepare for multi-dimensional combat. Let's make every version of ourselves proud. As the Prometheus prepared to face threats from across reality itself, Thalia felt Vexner's presence beside her, steady and sure. They had started as diplomatic adversaries, become reluctant allies, and now stood together at the threshold of something unprecedented. Ready to make history, Ambassador? She asked, a fierce grin spreading across her face. Vexner's copper skin gleamed in the quantum light. With you, Commander, I'm ready to rewrite it. The quantum-enhanced Prometheus hung in space like a nexus of possibilities, its hull rippling with energy drawn from countless realities. Through the viewport, Thalia and her crew watched as multiple versions of their attackers emerged from the quantum foam, each slightly different but all equally deadly. Reading 37 distinct quantum signatures, Ravi reported, his voice steady despite the unprecedented situation. Each one representing a different version of the assassination fleet. And in every reality, they're trying to kill me, Vexnor observed, their copper skin reflecting the otherworldly light. Why? What could I know that makes me such a threat across all possibilities? Philia's eyes widened with sudden understanding. It's not what you know, Ambassador. It's what we just created. She gestured to the ship around them. This quantum integration between human adaptive technology and Xeronian void gate science, someone wanted to prevent this from happening in every reality. Because together, we've created something that changes everything. Vexnor finished, their galaxy-filled eyes meeting Thalia's. The ability to transcend not just space, but possibility itself. The enemy ships opened fire, their weapons blazing across quantum states. But the Prometheus was no longer bound by conventional physics. The vessel moved like liquid starlight, existing in multiple states simultaneously, using its quantum nature to predict and counter attacks before they even manifested. Dr. Rivera reports the core has achieved quantum coherence, Marcus announced. We're not just seeing other realities anymore, we're actively synchronizing with them. Thalia felt it. A strange resonance as versions of herself across multiple timelines made the same decisions, fought the same battle, all working in perfect harmony. Jade, execute attack pattern Delta, but through all quantum states simultaneously. The Prometheus responded with impossible grace, its movements echoing across reality itself. Enemy ships found themselves facing not one vessel, but the combined might of every possible version of humanity's most adaptable ship. The quantum field is stabilizing, Vexnor reported, their fingers dancing across the controls. But there's something else. Patterns in the quantum foam. Information flowing between realities. Can you decode it? Already am. The ambassador's expression shifted from concentration to shock. It's plans. Technical specifications, but not just from our reality. From all of them, every advancement, every innovation that any version of humanity or the Xeronian Confederation ever made. The implications hit Thalia like a physical force. That's why they wanted to stop this. We haven't just created a weapon. We've created a bridge between all possible versions of our civilizations, a way to share knowledge across realities. The enemy fleet, realizing the full scope of what they faced, attempted to retreat. But the Prometheus, now existing in a quantum superposition of all its possible states, was everywhere and nowhere at once. Target their quantum drives, Thalia commanded. If we can disable their ability to shift between realities, we can end this across all timelines simultaneously. The battle that followed defied conventional description. The Prometheus danced through quantum states, its adaptive technology absorbing and learning from every possible version of itself. Energy beams split across multiple realities, striking targets that existed in several states at once. In engineering, Dr. Rivera and her team worked frantically to maintain the delicate balance between realities. The ship's systems, never designed for this level of quantum interaction, strained against the laws of physics themselves. Commander, Jade called out, quantum coherence is reaching critical levels. If we maintain this state much longer, we risk collapsing all these timelines into one. Thalia turned to Vexnor, seeing her own determination reflected across quantum states. Then let's make it count. Transfer all power to the quantum matrices. We're going to show them why you never corner humans and Xeronians. The Prometheus's engines reached a pitch that seemed to resonate with the fabric of reality itself. Energy cascaded through systems that existed in multiple states simultaneously, building to a crescendo that would either save or destroy everything they knew. Now, Thalia commanded, and Vexnor activated the final sequence. The quantum surge that followed was visible across every reality, a wave of pure possibility that engulfed the enemy fleet. Ships blinked out of existence as their quantum states collapsed, their attempts to exist across multiple realities failing against the combined might of human determination and Terronian wisdom. When the quantum storm cleared, the Prometheus hung alone in space, but not unchanged. The ship's hull now shimmered with patterns that seemed to exist between moments, its systems forever altered by their brush with infinite possibility. "Quantum field is normalizing," Ravi reported. "We're settling back into our primary reality, but the changes remain. The bridge between possibilities is still there, just dormant." Philia felt Vexner's hand find hers, the contact sending ripples through quantum space. "We did it," the ambassador whispered. "We've changed everything." "That's what humans do best," Philia replied, pulling them close. "We take impossible situations and turn them into opportunities. Though I have to admit, having a brilliant Saronian ambassador by my side made it considerably easier." The bridge crew tried to hide their smiles as their commander and the ambassador shared a moment that seemed to resonate across multiple realities. The Prometheus, now both more and less than it had been, carried them through space that seemed somehow richer with possibility. "You know," Vexnor mused, their copper skin glowing in the quantum-touched light, "when I first saw this ship, I thought it was a joke. And now I think it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." Their galaxy-filled eyes met Philia's, both the ship and its commander. As the Prometheus sailed through space-time that would never be quite the same, Philia Reed realized that sometimes the greatest discoveries weren't just about technology or quantum physics. Sometimes they were about finding connection, across species, across prejudices, and even across realities themselves. The ancient, adaptable ship that had once been laughed at had become something new, a bridge between possibilities, a testament to human ingenuity, and a symbol of what could be achieved when different species looked past their preconceptions to see the potential that lay beyond. And somewhere, in every possible reality, a copper-skinned ambassador and a determined human commander held hands as they sailed toward a future that was, for the first time, truly infinite in its possibilities.